That's a lot. Seems perfect. Our shock only has 3 or 3.5 inches of travel that we're choosing to use on this, so this is going to be max droop will be about right there, so that'll keep us away from our max rotation of our heim joint, and then that's going to be over really about there will be max squat. So we have plenty of travel, it seems like. We can measure. So top of that's like 14.5 ish. That's hot. 18.5 ish. That's exactly 4 inches. So that's how much travel we're going to have. So that'll be about right. Now we can work on getting the other spindle made. We got to cap all this off, and we did this out 3/16. We're going to cap off this and then do a back wall as well, and we'll run a 3/4 inch probably chrome ollie bolt in it, so it'll be strong. And we have plenty of steering as well, and we can have more. We just need to clearance it. Okay, so we got both sides spindles done. This is fully capped off and grinded smooth. We did the main heim joint areas out of 1/4 inch, and everything else is capped off with 3/16. These are super beefy, but I know this is never going to bend or break, so that's why we do it. And this is just a reference bolt. We're going to use grade 8. I was going to have like a tool steel spindle bolt made, or do something out like chrome ollie or something, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use grade 8 because it should be perfectly fine for this old diesel Deuce. But like I said, this is just for reference. You can see that's where our heim joint runs out of rotation, and that's where it runs out of rotation. So when we was measuring earlier, we was measuring right here because this is the area the shock will be mounted. And they were using Go Power Sports 150 rear shocks. These are actually really good shocks. They don't have a ton of throw to them. They got about 3 to 3.5 inch of shock travel. But when we mount that here, I'm gonna have to cut this off. We just build these like this because it's the easiest way on a jig. But once this is gone, the shock can mount somewhere in this location. And that means out here at the wheel, we're gonna get more than double that travel. So even though this only has like 3 to 4 inches of travel, the wheel is gonna have a ton of travel. So all that's done, and we'll never hit those. The shock will run out of travel before we run it into our max heim joint rotation. And we'll have a limiting strap so it can never pull against the shock. So I think this is like 14 or 12 and a half inches eye to eye. We'll do like 11 and a half inch limiting strap so it'll never pull against our shock. So all the spindles are done. I'm waiting, had to order some fine thread grade 8 bolts that I'm gonna weld in here. I'm waiting for those to come in. As soon as they come in, we can weld this and we can put our wheel on this side. So let's get on to other stuff. Okay, there's some schmutz in it. So we're going to be reusing this pulley on that diesel engine. It should be the same belt size around the belts.
You good, right?
Yep.
I gotta move your tire back a bit. There it is. Right.
Don't look bad. Pull this, help it flow some.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's good stuff right there. So, boom. So this is a lot like the diff in my buggy. The only difference is mine is a Dana, so it's going to have a lot better, beefier rear gear on it. And mine also has a Hillard locker in it. So my buggy, I couldn't run tractor brakes. This we can run tractor brakes because this is an open diff. It'll hit pause every once in a while, but most times it's going to spin one tire. Which is cool for us because we can put tractor brakes on it, be able to brake one side of the diff and turn on a dime like a zero turn. We could turn just in a small circle with the tractor brake, so that's going to be pretty sick. Oh yeah. So this is the axle tube, of course, off this differential. What we need is we need this flange and we need this bearing set up right here. So what I'm going to do is end up cutting this flange off, this axle tube, cutting this bearing support off, and we're going to replace this bearing support right on this flange. So that means the axle will be supported right here because it's only going to be small stub axles. Then we're going to take this axle shaft out and we're going to cut the splines off that fit in the diff and then weld. We got the machine shop plasma cutting us some plates that fit Mazda Miata CV axles. So basically there'll be a stub axle with an axle plate on it, and we'll install that in there, and then it allows us to bolt Mazda Miata CV axles. We got a little clip in there. Okay, I need to keep that. Oh, there's two rings. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to most likely take this to the machine shop because we need this bearing to ride about right here, right in this area. So we're going to have this turned down to whatever size this bearing is. Or, I mean, if this is a standard size, or I can find the bearing easy, I could just do a bearing here. But it needs to have a neck that it stops on, you know what I'm saying? I don't recommend taking your bearings off that way. But we're going to be putting all new everything on this puppy. This is a standard Japanese bearing. Like I said, I don't know how much of the shaft we need to cut off, but this is what we needed there. All right, so we got those axle tubes, those bearing supports cut off. Now we're gonna take these to the machine shop and have them true them up, because of course we just cut them on a bandsaw. So we're gonna true these up and make both of them the same exact size, so we have the same length of bearing supports. Then we gotta take these flanges and they're gonna open up this center just a hair so those fit tightly down in it and I can TIG weld them in. That's the way my buggy Dana was. It had bearing supports right off the diff, and that keeps from wearing out that diff, you know, where the axle don't have any play inside there. And we'll take those axle shafts as well and have those machined down. We are getting my you know, I have a South Bend lathe. It's like an old 40 something model. It runs good, but the pulleys are off from each other, so I just need to take the time and level those out, and I'm going to do that in the next week or so. Then my buddy Dave, he had the orange 670 buggy. If you guys was at the meetup, he's going to come down. He's done a lot of machining and just give me a rundown on the lathe, how to use it and whatnot, because I've never used a lathe. And then we're also getting a Bridgeport mill, so we'll be able to do a lot of this stuff in-house in the next couple months. It's just right now I'm so behind on videos, I don't have time to machine my stuff or learn how to run a lathe. So we're going to get all this stuff dropped off. So now back to the Deuce build. So one of the biggest issues I always say with modifying an existing chassis, and which is my favorite thing to do, I love taking 150s or something like this Manco Deuce and doing something that wasn't on their factory, making it better, improving on the design. Because 150 chassis are really good to start with. Bonus, you can buy them and your kids can play on them for a while. Then if you ever have any engine troubles or just get bored of it, they're really easy to upgrade normally. And the best thing about 150 chassis is they normally have hydraulic disc brakes on front and rear, so you don't have to do any of that. It's already ready out of the box. And normally the front ends are pretty decent. So that leaves the back end. But on this Deuce, you can see that it needed a lot of updates. It was really poor designed. It wasn't poor design, it was quickly designed. So I'm going to show you the reason we had to do this weird brake setup in this nose area, because it's really tight fit, so you got to use your imagination. All right, so this is a down view. I did have to move this over about 2 inches because I didn't like the placement of everything. I added that rod, that piece of tube in there, and I ended up removing it as well because I didn't like my feet placement. Now I did have to put this pedal in a little crooked. It had to be that way because this upper bar restricted the pedal room. So to leave the pedal on mounted on this exterior frame rail right here, I had to cock out it a little bit, but now it's comfortable. Basically my foot can set all the way, my heel can set there to push the gas, and my heel sets right on the other side of this bar to hit this pedal. And you can see how the mechanism works. And you can adjust it. You can go 3 to 1, 2 to 1, or 1 to 1. On the last Deuce, 2 to 1 was perfect, but I don't think I'll ever use 3 to 1, so we'll probably end up cutting that end off and just making it shorter. But I may switch to this, which would be a 1 to 1 ratio. This is 1 inch from there, this is 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch from the pivot point. So right now we got it on 2 to 1 ratio. Again, our old Deuce, the yellow one we fixed up for Josh Mink, we did it this way and it worked really well. This is Go Power Sports UTV brake master cylinder. It does come with, you can buy it with brakes and everything, and that's the way we got it. We just unhooked everything so we wasn't cramming the pads into each other while we tested it. But I really like this one better than their normal 150 go-kart or master cylinder. I just like the design of it. So these come with this little metal bracket, and I used it as a rod guide. Now this is a tie rod that I basically tapered down the end of it and then grinded off all the threads on this side. So it's just like kind of a dull point right there. And you can still adjust everything. You can adjust this one in and out, and then you have to adjust this. I took one of Go Power Sports shortest tie rods and basically left all the reverse threads on it, or the left hand threads, and then I re-threaded this in after I cut all the threads off because this is like ultra short. But you can see everything works really good. The brake isn't going to push that far. I mean, normally under normal braking, you're going to get an inch to max an inch and a half, but probably like an inch a throw once there's pressure on it. So I'm pushing it all the way just to show you the whole mechanism working. These are Manco remakes that Go Power Sports make. They're twice as thick as the original one, or maybe even thicker than that. And the factory ones was known to bend. These will not. These are super strong. You can see I got the spring right there, so it always returns. Guys, as always, make sure to check out the links in the video description. They help our channel out a ton. You using those links shows that our videos are working. And Go Power Sports has a ton of products down there. Those pedals, that brake, these work on all types of buggy sizes, and they're awesome parts. So let us know what you think about the spindle design and the brake setup. Another reason to do that brake setup is you have more power over the master cylinder with the pedal, and that's the main reason we done that, and because we don't have enough physical room in that floorboard to put the master cylinder right directly behind the pedal. So that's why we do that little ratio setup. So let us know what you think about the spindle design, the A-arms, everything on this Deuce. Next episode we'll be mounting that diesel on the back of it and getting that differential mounted. And then we have to do some steering. We got a couple different options where to place the steering rack, but it's really tight fit up there. So let us know what you think about the diesel Deuce. Make sure to check out those links and support your boy and help them videos continue to come out. We thank you guys so much for your support. We're almost 300,000 subscribers, and when we hit 300,000, we're going to do a big giveaway. So make sure to stay tuned. Tell your friends to subscribe, because we're going to be giving away probably a mini bike. So stay tuned in, guys. We love you so much. Thank you for supporting us, and God bless.